And I just want you to introduce yourselves and just tell me a little bit about what drew you to the film. Like, what made you get into this line of work? What made you want to share this with the audiences, and what is the future for this?
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks for coming out. I hope you guys enjoyed it. My name is Dr. Cliff Redford. As far as how I wanted, why I wanted to be a veterinarian, my teachers tell me even from grade 1 when they talk to me now that I always was taking care of animals. So I think they knew before I did. And then we've been filming these travel adventures for 7 years to kind of try and pitch a TV show. Mm-hmm. And when that wasn't necessarily going the way it planned, Diego said, hey, why don't you just pay us and we'll go to India and invest in it and we'll do a film. So here we are. There you go.
So I'm Emily Redford. I'm, his daughter, if you didn't get that from the film. I kind of, got into this because, growing up with a veterinarian as a dad, how can you not? We always had animals in the house, and I've cared about animals very passionately since a young age. So yeah, now I love what I do. So.
And is that going to be your future career path then? For sure, this is where your passion is?
That's a great question. Well, to be completely honest with you, my first passion was always dance and acting. I grew up very much involved in dance and now in acting. So I kind of say that I have like two really big passions, and I don't think I would be myself without one of them. So I'm hoping to continue doing this, but for me, it'll be, I think, something a little bit more part-time, because it can be a lot. Like I was saying, it takes a lot of commitment and a lot of heart to be able to do it full time. So maybe one day, but not at the moment.
All right, follow your passion. That's what you have to do. I mean, that's one of the themes of this festival this year, is following your true passion.
Yeah, and I'm also, my true passion, I would say, is animals, even more so than the filmmaking. My name is Diego, by the way, and I'm the director-producer. And thank you. And I mean, I had been working with Discovery Canada for 5 years on Daily Planet, a show about science, you may remember, and technology. Yeah. And that came to its natural end after 20 some odd years. And I'd gone to freelance and was kind of looking for good stories to tell, and happened to hook up with these two, and it was just a perfect fit. I mean, that's as a filmmaker, that's what you want. If somebody who has a story to tell is really compelling, and if it lines up with your own personal interests, I mean, for me, it was perfect, right?
And this kind of a story, this kind of a journey is relatable to a lot of people, right? Like I think that saving animals, I think, warms a lot of people's hearts. So I think that it's something that's relatable to a lot of people. I'm interested. So it didn't work out as a TV series. Is there still hope for that? Or are you going to do a feature length based on this kind of, it's a featurette kind of thing?
There's always hope. We're looking for a distributor. So there's been some conversations with people already here at OFFA. So that's great. Thank you very much, OFFA.
Yay.
And there are a few, let's say, Canadian streaming platforms that are looking at this film. And what we're hoping is, at least if we can get this film out into the world and even internationally, then people will say, this is really good. We want to see more of this. And then they'll come and they'll start paying for us to go to India and Jamaica and Greece and South Africa, I think, is our next trip.
So let me ask you this. While you're traveling, or even when you're here, when you're working with animals, the ratio of heartbreak to heart soaring.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I do some volunteer work. I volunteer once a week at Shades of Hope that we showed there. And while most of their cases, they're easy sort of cares. So 90% of them, 95% of them are rescued and saved. But we get the worst ones. We get the ones that need surgery, and the fox that has a heart attack twice. We probably release, I'm going to say 80%, maybe. Though there's a lot that we'll see and we'll throw up on the X-ray and say we can't save this animal, and so at least we can then give it a painless passing. So I get upset thinking about it, but so. Even the ones that we can't save, we can still treat them and take care of them and help them pass away, not alone and not in pain. So that's at least something.
So Emily, is that part of the reason why this isn't your forefront passion? Is it the pain that's experienced when you can't help that animal, or is it just that your heart is wanting to rap on stage?
I would say a mix of both. I do love some good rapping, but I would say like primarily it's see, I don't even know. Like it might be something that I do more in the future. I've just had like lots of opportunities like performing as a young person currently, and I do sort of know that especially dancing, like there is sort of a time limit on being able to do that professionally. So focusing on that now is just sort of what I've been doing. But honestly, I think that the pain is always worth sort of the effort that you put in and the good cases that you see. And it's not necessarily like the thing that I don't like about it, because although it's hard, you know, I feel like there's still so much joy that we get to
And
see.
hope with the animals that you save.
Yeah, so much hope.
So Diego, what was filming? You filmed locally and then you filmed abroad. What were the challenges in both areas?
Wow, where to start with that question? I mean, everything is a challenge. I think trying to bridge the two, like just understanding how the film is going to be structured, right? Like how we're going to jump from here to there, because as you saw, there was 2 years from the first section to the second section. So there's, you know, all kinds of life goes in between that. And so really when we were in India, we didn't know necessarily that we were going to start the film with the fox, which we had already filmed. So it was really like, it was like 2 very different kind of moments in our lives that after the fact, we kind of had to think of how would these 2 things work together. So I thought like there were specific challenges about the field. To me, the biggest challenge is always going to be the same, is like, are we even going to have a story to tell? We have no idea. Are we going to get a call that day? You know, that's kind of the elemental common challenge throughout the whole process of filming. But in this case, it was really like a jigsaw puzzle for me to think, how is this all going to fit together from 2 very different parts in our lives? COVID kind of lockdown, which was that first section, and then being sort of the freedom to go ahead and travel. So we had thought we would build COVID a little bit more as a theme, for example, and then realized that it wasn't really helping the story. It wasn't carrying it anywhere. So we just kind of left that aside and just let the action take over, you know. And then also to think about, if you're thinking about how to, you know, as filmmakers, how to structure this film without a narrator. There was no narrator. So as those of you who have sat down with a script before even it's unscripted, you're trying to structure this. It's that, to me, that's the struggle. But it's also
Luckily you have 2 very personable, relatable characters, right? Air quote characters. Yes, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. That drew you into the story, right? So it was, I think that it was their passion, your caring, you're willing to be vulnerable on screen about how much you care about animals that drew me in for sure. Was there, so again, for you, Dr. Cliff, was there a marked difference between India and here, like from an animals being hurt or an animals being cared for perspective?
Yeah, and before I get to that, one of the problems we didn't have in India was the film crew. So a big shout out, I hope they're going to see this. Riverbank Studios is the crew that we hired in India, run by Gautam. Gautam owns it. Gautam is a Sheridan graduate.
Woo!
So Riverbank Studios, we knew them, we'd seen their work, but we had never worked with them. And it was like 10 minutes into rescuing Heidi, the little puppy, that I looked at Diego, who was directing, obviously, and he went, as in, these guys know what they're doing. So anyways, I want to give a big thanks to the whole team at Riverbanks.
And what a small world, right? Sheridan is one of the big sponsors for the Oakville Film Festival. And I'd like to just go somewhere like that and all of us and say, ooh, Sheridan.
Yeah, which we didn't know until after when I told him we were coming to OFFA. He said, hey,
amazing.
My wife and I graduated from Sheridan, from the film program. The treatment for the animals in India and all the other places that we've traveled, The challenges are all the same, and it's that one, we often have to treat animals on the street. You know, they're not homeless, they're street dogs. There's a big difference. They live on the streets, they live in a community, they're cared for by that sort of block. And these dogs have no interest in going in the house. They're happy where they are. So we have to treat them and then release them back to their home. And obviously, you know, the drugs are different. And sometimes I would smuggle narcotics into countries. That happened.
We're
many
taping
times.
this, you know that, right?
That's okay. I actually tell them, and if I just tell the customs officer it's for the puppies and kittens, they always seem to let me go. So that's a secret. You know, so the biggest challenges are the medicine's different, the diseases are different. I mean, the injuries are the same, but the diseases are different. We don't have so many of the parasites here and the viruses and the bacteria. I almost got bit by a dog my first time in India that we then found out had rabies, which I have my rabies vaccine, but like it never occurred to me, oh yeah, India is the place where the most people in the world die of rabies from every single year. So it's different, it's exciting, it's sometimes terrifying, and I love it. I'm going to do it over and over again.
Okay, so the last thing I want, and each of you can take a turn answering this, is what would be the one takeaway that you want people to leave the theater with when they leave after seeing your film?
This one's very, very complicated, so write it down, everyone. Be kind to animals.
Love.
Oh, I mean, for me, it's the same. The motivation is always the animals, telling the stories of the animals, and just raising the profile of the animals with the backdrop of so much media and now social media, and you know, it's kind of like, hey, don't forget about those animals, even in your neighborhood, wild animals.
I think it's
pets,
a
and so on.
worthwhile message, right? I don't think you can say it enough, quite honestly.
I said in the film, but I'll just like reiterate that a lot of, you know, the cases that we come across are caused by like some sort of like human interaction. So I do think it's our responsibility to be helping animals that are being injured because of like the environment that we've sort of created for them. So I would say that if you ever come across an animal who is like that's injured, please bring them to a vet. Please call your local like wildlife people. Leave it to the experts to take care of instead of trying to treat at home. Just because we have also seen cases where people will have good intentions, try to treat at home, but then, you know, things will get to the point where when we get them, we can't treat them because the disease has gotten too bad or the injuries have gotten too bad. So just please call your local people if you ever find injured wildlife or you have injured pets.
And I would say be responsible pet owners too, right? Like, I mean, yeah, come on, people. It's like having a kid. There was, just on what you said there was a Facebook picture that I saw once that resonated with me, and it was a picture of a car on a road, and in front of it was a mother deer and a baby deer, and they were crossing the road, and the caption at the bottom said, you see them crossing through our world, and in reality, we put the road through theirs.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Be cautious and courteous, I think. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. You guys did great. Thank you.
Oh, it's okay.